John Noe unveils Greater Than We Believe with your host, Stephen King.
Well, hi there. Welcome back. I'm so glad that you came and joined us today. My name is Stephen King. This is my friend John Noe. We are putting on a continuing Bible teaching series called Greater Than We Believe. And in this series, we have tackled so many subjects. The main focus of all of this, when we say greater than we believe, is Jesus Christ himself, who was, and always will be greater than we could ever comprehend or believe. We want people to know.
I think I wrote a book by that
think
time.
you did. Yes.
Right there.
Yeah, there we go. So what we've done, we've tackled so many subjects. We have been talking about the kingdom for quite a while now. We just finished a series, I think it was 18 videos in that one, that was, we were highlighting a couple of books by Dr. Sunday Adelaja. He is in the Ukraine. He's actually originally from, what part of Africa was that? Nigeria, yeah. He is very, very focused on kingdom things. And though John and I have some things we don't completely agree with him on other subjects, when it comes to the kingdom, he seems to be right on. I mean, and we've really appreciated his books enough to highlight those books for the last 2 or 18 videos.
Two.
Just 2.
And he has...
Oh, he's got tons of them.
So we just did 2.
Right. So anyway, I'm hoping that you have enjoyed that series. We've finished it now, and John, being who he is, he loves surprises and
Who I is.
Who you is, John. I asked him before we started today. I says, "Okay, where's my paperwork?" And there is none. So I said, "Well, I don't even know what we're going to talk about." He said, "Right." So I am going to get.
Would you believe maybe I don't either?
Maybe not. I don't know. Well, anyway, whatever John's got in mind for us, he's going to introduce it to you. But I just wanted to welcome you and ask you to open your mind and your heart. We always pray before we start a video. And our prayer to God is that this is something that will be of Him, His words, His teachings, something that will benefit you spiritually, maybe open up your eyes to some things you've not thought of before. But everything we're doing, we want to glorify God with. So, John, I'm looking forward to see now what you have in store for us for the next series of videos.
So am I.
Okay.
Well, Stephen, I have a big announcement.
Oh, a big announcement. I love big announcements.
Big
Okay.
announcement. It was 20 years ago this month
Oh, really?
that I first heard the siren call.
Oh, I think I know where this is going. I love it.
To go to Hollywood.
Yeah. Mr. Famous
Can I
here.
say this? Okay. To go to Hollywood.
Yeah.
But unlike the masses that have gone, masses of wannabes,
Yeah.
for the last century, since
Yes.
the movies began,
Right.
back there, which was something like, 1900,
And
oh,
19-aught something.
aught something, I didn't go west, young man, seeking fame and fortune, like others have. And I had no ambition to be involved in the movie industry whatsoever. In fact, I never dreamed that I could ever do anything like that, or never even dreamed it to want to be, to be a wannabe. In fact, I'd never even seen a screenplay, and I didn't go to the movies a whole lot, just a few, every now and then. So I didn't even know what a screenplay looked like, or a script for a movie, or anything like that. So here's what a screenplay looks like. Not too impressive, is it?
Well,
This is a screenplay for Gladiator.
oh, okay.
See, Gladiator? See that there? Can they see that okay,
yeah.
you think? And here's what a screenplay looks like. Looks a little different than a
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
Got-
It looks almost like a play.
Here's a screenplay for We Were Soldiers.
I like that show. Mel Gibson.
Great, yeah. We were soldiers. Well, same thing. Same. Now these are copied on both sides. In a normal screenplay, you don't copy them on both sides, but this is for for sending them out to people. And here's one for.
Look at the size of that thing.
Ben-Hur.
My goodness, look
how many of you have seen Ben-Hur? Oh my goodness, look at this sucker. Now I got, excuse my Post-its, but those are in there for reasons.
Yeah.
But now this one's done properly. See, it didn't copied on both sides.
Right.
But those suckers are huge. I mean, Ben-Hur was a huge movie. That's a movie, folks.
Big production. Yep.
That's what a movie looks like on paper. All right. So I didn't go out to Hollywood seeking fame and fortune. Instead, Hollywood came to me, Stephen. And that initial encounter ended up consuming the better part of a 12-year period of my life and consumed a hefty bit of money as well in the process. So 20 years have now passed since that initial encounter, and I still receive inquiries from viewers, from people who have read my books, from people who know about me. And you know what they ask me every now and then?
About that movie script you wrote.
Yeah, they said, whatever happened to that big screen Hollywood movie that you went out to Hollywood about the destruction of Jerusalem and the Jewish temple that you were working on? Whatever happened to that? And most of our viewers out here, watching our Greater Than We Believe videos, they know the importance of AD 70 and the destruction of the temple and the Old Covenant system, and in fulfillment of Jesus' longest and most dramatic prophecy, and all that, how all that happened exactly as and when Jesus said it would. Verily, verily, I tell you the truth, this generation will not pass away till all these things have happened, and they did.
Yes.
And how that was the change of covenants from Old Covenant system to the New Covenant system. Well, you see, I was approached by Dr. Ted Baehr 20 years ago, publisher of Movie Guide magazine. That's back when it was a magazine, when they did hard copies and all that stuff. Now it's a website and all that stuff. And also the chairman of the Christian Film and Television Commission. Pretty big role out there in Hollywood. And he said, he came to me, and let me tell you the story about this. I'm going to tell you the story about how he approached me.
Okay.
And how that happened. And my announcement is that 2 days ago, I received this book in the mail. Oh, sorry. In the mail, and this is my big announcement. In answer to the question of whatever happened to that big screen Hollywood movie that you were making, here's the book.
Oh, my goodness.
Can the camera see that? How's the best way to hold this for the cameras to see it?
That's great right there.
Titled 8070 in that novel, The Movie.
Oh, wow.
Along with Ted Baehr's statement as a kind of a subtitle, it's the greatest story never told.
Never told. Yes, yes.
Greatest story never told.
Yes.
Here's the book. 200 some pages. In the middle of it is the screenplay.
Wow.
And that screenplay looks like this in a book, along with stuff in the front copy, and behind it, back copy too, which I'll explain a little bit in a minute. And here's what it looks like. Here's what the screenplay looks like, actual.
As a screenplay, yes.
As a screenplay, with the proper clips in it on the side, and in the proper format, and notice only copied on one side. That's what it looks like. 125 pages.
Wow.
And in Hollywood, with this kind of formatting, they figure roughly, rule of thumb, that one page equals 1 minute of screen time.
Okay. So
if this followed through,
Easy enough.
page 125 would be approximately 2 hours plus of screen time.
Sure.
Not counting credits.
Right.
No, which I would be mentioned in the credits.
Yes.
But that's part of the story.
Okay.
That this book tells is Well, how did I get involved in it, and how did it all work out? And then before that, we had the backstory, how I got involved in Hollywood, which I'll share a little bit about that in a minute. Another part of the front matter is the script development and how that all evolved, because I didn't know a thing about scripts. I never even seen one. Our marketing tools that we used, and then the script itself, and then in the back, the end of the book, we have pitching to Hollywood, how that was like and how that went, and reflections, and then 2 offers here for collaboration and more. So that's the essence of the book. Overview of the book. On the back tells a little bit about it too. And have I promoted it enough, you think?
Oh, I'm loving it.
Let me put it right up here. How's
Yes.
that? Put it right up there like
Okay.
that. How's that?
That's
80-70 the movie. All right. So you want to get into it a little bit?
Absolutely.
Okay. We done the contents. I've done that. All right. But you see, I had to give up in order to do this. I had to give up my writing of books. And in 2001, my latest book, or my last book, came out. But before that, I had written 6 books.
Okay.
Peak Performance Principles for High Achievers.
Yes.
And here's the hardback cover. This is the mass market. And then Thomas Nelson published this one for me. People Power, and then it went mass market in Berkeley and New York. This was 84, 86, and 88, and 90, or somewhere in there. The Apocalypse Conspiracy put me on Larry King Live, right in the middle of Waco. Published by Wogemuth and Hyatt, distributed by Word. And then the International Preterist Association published this one, Beyond the End Times, my first preterist book.
Yes.
Beyond the End Times. See, isn't that nice? See a nice little clock on the front?
I like it.
What time is it?
Oh, a little bit past 12. So
7 after 12.
yeah,
That was significant.
And the doomsday clock's supposed to be run out at 12, so that's the end of time.
And it's about 2 minutes.
Yeah, so now you're after that.
And then this one, Shattering the Left Behind Delusion.
Yes.
And I gave a copy to Tim LaHaye at one of the Christian Bookseller Association convention. He looked at it and said, "What is this? Oh, millennial?" And I said, "No, it's preterist." He said, "I find that boorish." And his handlers pushed me away. And then my last one, which came out in 2001, was titled, isn't that a nice cover? You know what that is?
Dead in the Tracks. What is that?
David's beheading of Goliath.
Yes, that's a medieval-looking art.
So my subtitle is Stopping the Liberal Skeptic Attack on the Bible.
Okay.
And guess how successful this book was in stopping the liberal skeptic
Not a bit.
But this was my last book.
Okay.
6 up. So when I was called to Hollywood, I got a coffee cup.
Yeah, that's nice.
From the airport. You know? Not from Cecil B. DeMille or anything like that. I had to stop that because this was an all-consuming endeavor. So at that time, I was also working on my doctoral dissertation. I had become a 6-year member of the Evangelical Theological Society. Let me get some of my other stuff out here. This is the Journal of the Evangelical Theological Society, and I presented 6 papers so far. Now I presented 18, and one of them was published in their journal. That came later, obviously. And as you can imagine, I was developing quite a reputation in ETS circles and in other circles as well. And I would have to put all that aside in order to focus on what I've been called to do in Hollywood. So here we go. In the fall of 2001, I was invited to present my 12th theological paper at the annual meeting of the Evangelical Theological Society that was being held in Colorado Springs. And following that meeting, 20 of us, approximately, other theologians, were invited to stay over the weekend to participate in a 1.5-day consultation titled the Preliminary North American Consultation on Theology. How's that for a mouthful?
It's a mouthful, yeah.
It was being sponsored by the International Church Council and was being held at the beautiful and picturesque Broadmoor Hotel and Resort in the Rockies.
You love the Rockies, don't you?
I accepted.
Yes.
I accepted. Yeah, I'll go. I'll stay over.
Yeah. Did you climb?
I'll stay over, go. And their mission statement for this consultation was this: to establish for the 21st century a biblical theological standard of doctrine for the body of Christ in 70 targeted counties consistent with mainstream theology of the first 20 centuries. How about that?
Wow.
In other words, they were trying, Stephen, to attempt to create a unifying and generic statement of faith. Good luck. Yeah. Needless to say, many of us kind of perceive that as being rather lofty, if not Pollyannish.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, nothing ever came of it.
Sure.
At all. But the highlight of that consultation was I got to meet Dr. Ted Baehr. And I'd never even heard of him before. Again, this guy here, publisher, Movie Guide magazine, which is a family guide of movies and entertainment, and now website and so forth, and head of the chairman of the Christian Film and Television Commission in L.A. And during the breakout sessions, he and I got to know each other better and better and better. And in some of the sessions that we were in together, I was throwing out preterist ideas. And I just published my book. Did I bring it? No, I didn't bring a copy of it. Beyond the End Times.
Okay.
Oh, where was it? I already showed it to you. Yeah, yeah. This had come out.
Yes.
So I was talking about that with Ted, and he after the conference was over and we all left and went our separate ways, he purchased a copy of this. And 2 months after that, he called me. And he said, "Hey, John, I'm going to be in your neck of the woods in March of this coming year." So that would be 2002.
Okay.
And at Opryland Hotel. And I want to talk to you because I have some ideas about how some key people in Hollywood, in the movie industry, that he knew well, that they would like to, would be interested in my my take on AD 70, the destruction of Jerusalem, and some of my preterist ideas that I had presented in this version. By the way, this version, the revised copy of that, the revised edition, is the perfect ending for the world.
Which I've read. Yes.
And in this, I mentioned some things that I no longer believe.
Okay.
But in that one is a revised edition of that book. So, March came. I drove down to Nashville, Tennessee. It's only 4 hours from here. Drive down there. Met with Ted in Rachel's restaurant at Opryland Hotel. And here's the big idea that Ted laid on me. He said, "John, there's never been a big screen Hollywood movie made about the time frame of your book, Beyond the End Times."
Oh, really?
Not even Ben-Hur. He said, "And your doctoral dissertation?"
Yes.
About AD 70 and destruction of Jerusalem. And you're the one to write it. Now, understand, Stephen, I was not a screenwriter. I had no idea what a screenplay even looked like. I'd never even seen one before. So I tried to get out of it. I said, I'll be the consultant on it. Like Tim LaHaye was on his books, because he didn't write any of those Left Behind books. Right. Or on the Left Behind movie. He didn't.
Was it Jenkins?
Yeah. Jerry Jenkins.
Yeah.
I said, I'll be the consultant on that. And Ted said, "That'll never work." And I said, "Why not?" He said, "Well, let me tell you a story, John." He said, "A few years ago, a wealthy businessman, Christian businessman, had an idea about a movie that he wanted to make, but he wasn't a screenwriter either. So he came to Hollywood and he hired a professional. It cost him $100,000. Hired a professional to turn his idea into a screenplay. $100,000 to get this. Turned out terrible. He hated it, didn't like it, so he had to hire another writer. Another $100,000. That turned out terrible too. And another. Anyway, to make a long story short, about $1 million later, he still didn't have a script that he liked or he could get produced. So he went home empty-handed. You see, John, Hollywood types can ruin a movie. especially a Christian
Oh, yes. Especially.
based one.
Yes.
And there's several examples of that. Anyway, he said, we need your POV. Now, at that time, I didn't even know what a POV was. I thought that's something you do in the bathroom. No. Cut that out, would you? No. Your voice, your point of view.
Right.
And then Ted laid this biggie on me. He said, after all, John, if you can write a doctoral dissertation, you can write a movie. And he said, writing's writing. How do you think I responded to that?
Really?
No, I said, no, it isn't. I countered. I said, that's like telling, I just came up with this analogy. I said, that's like telling a ballerina that he or she could be a tap dancer.
Oh, that's a good point.
You know,
Dance is dance.
dancing is dancing, or vice versa, whatever. But Ted wouldn't back down. He shot back. He said, surely you can write one sentence, couldn't you? Ooh. He said, that would be your first assignment. One sentence. Not a whole. One sentence. What is your movie going to be about?
In one sentence.
One sentence. And I will mentor you, he said. This guy. And he said, I will mentor you through the rest of the process.
Wow.
Next, he assured me that in Hollywood, story is king. And he said, you have a great, referring to what he had read and what he and I talked about. He said, you have a great story here. We need to make it into a movie that is so original, so exciting, and so compelling that audiences will say, wow, I have to go see that. But first, we need to decide who our protagonist is going to be. My next comment out of my mouth was, what's a protagonist? I'm serious. I didn't know. I never.
Yeah.
What's a protagonist? That's how little I knew about screenwriting or movies or anything like that. And he said, it's your main character. It's your main character. So who do you think that could be? And I thought for a moment, I said, well, how about Eusebius, the father of church history, who wrote the church history, who lived in the 3rd century A.D. and wrote about the first 3 centuries of Christianity. And Ted said, won't work. I said, why not? He said, it either has to be an historical figure or a fictional character that actually lived during that 1st century time period and experienced those events firsthand. I said, how about Josephus? Ted said, perfect. Perfect.
Yep.
Your first assignment then will be to write one sentence about Josephus and what this movie will be about. Then we'll go from there and see how far you can go before we bring in the pros, to finish things up. And remember, he said, I'm going to be mentoring you through this whole process, the writing process and the marketing process with my major contacts in the movie industry. And Ted certainly seemed to have the context. That's what I said? Oh, there go the context. For example, every year they did this. 14th Annual Movie Guide Faith and Values Award Gala be held at a fancy hotel.
Fancy?
This one, and here's the mission, what they do, give awards for all this stuff. That was for 1 year. This is for another year. Gala awards, you're invited, held at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel. Fancy invitation. Invite all these tuxedos, all this kind of stuff. My goodness gracious, big deal. Here's personal invitation to come, be there. What is this? Oh my goodness. Oh, here it is. And you could check right here, please reserve. I would like to be a sponsor for $20,000. Table for 10, $5,000 each table. Individual tickets, guess.
Have no clue. $500 a ticket? Whoo!
I mean, this is the guy I'm dealing with. We're dealing with Hollywood, man.
Yeah.
Connections.
Yeah.
Connections. I mean, that's who I'm dealing with here. It's not just me getting a pickup truck and driving out to Hollywood and beating the curbs.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So he certainly seemed to have the connections out there, and still today. By the way, Ted, Movie Guide magazine still does this stuff, and one of the magazines reported about this event every year, characterized it this way. It says, this annual event is targeted at the top entertainment industry leaders who can greenlight, you know what that means?
Just to give the go-ahead, yes.
Greenlight, approve production, distribution of movies and television programs, as well as producers and directors and writers of the movies and television programs, chosen as the best of the year. The annual gala attracts top executives and talent in the entertainment industry. Using Dr. Baehr's exclusive knowledge of and contacts in the entertainment industry, the awards gala targets the top 300 decision makers, or key players or opinion leaders who control 95% of the movies and television programs made in Hollywood. That's who was asking me to write this screenplay, and who would mentor me through this process of script development and marketing to these people. That's something. And the Hollywood Reporter even confirmed in a magazine, 2-page magazine article called Leap of Faith, that Ted Baehr has the ear of studio execs. That was a Ted Baehr who's going to mentor me in my movie through the entire script development and marketing process. Wow. I thought, what connections.
Really?
So going out to Hollywood, I didn't go out to Hollywood. Hollywood came to me. And that's the Hollywood I was going out to. It wasn't just me. So I agreed to write one sentence. One sentence. A week later, I wrote 5 sentences. and I sent them to Ted. And over the phone, we honed them down to one sentence. And then Ted said, now, your next assignment is expand that one sentence into one paragraph. And then you need to become a student of the craft, John. And I'm going to send you a list. He sent me a whole list of books that I had to get, read, and study. For example, like Logis Aguirre's, that's got to be Italian, right? The Art of Dramatic Writing. Robert McGee, Story, winner, Substance, Structure, Style, and Principles of Screenwriting. And Linda Sagers, Making a Good Script Great. And now, today, as I counted on my bookshelf, I have 28 books.
Wow.
That I have subsequently bought and collected and read and studied, and not just on screenplay writing, but also how to do business in Hollywood, and other kind of things that I needed to know as I picked up. So that is how I initially got cajoled, if you would, or hooked into becoming a screenwriter. And little did I know at the time, Stephen, that this adventure of writing a big screen Hollywood movie and hoping to see it on the big screen someday would become my biggest aspiration over the next 12-year period of my life, and also meant that I would have to give up writing books.
For a time. Yeah.
Which I had written 6, at that time, back then. And my last one was published that last one at that time was published in 2001, which I showed you. Today, as we are shooting this video, it has been exactly 20 years since that initial encounter, and since I met with Dr. Baehr in Opryland at Rachel's Cafe, Nashville, Tennessee, and was coerced into developing and writing a big screen Hollywood movie about Where is it? Where is it? Where did I put the screenplay? Oh, here it is. That resulted in this. And now has resulted in the book.
Yes.
That includes the screenplay and the story, the backstory about how I got involved and what happened, good, bad, and otherwise, out in Hollywood. And now I believe it's time to tell this greatest story never told, as Ted has framed it and characterized it in book form, and share it with you all out there. So it's available now on Amazon. I just checked yesterday. Man, it's up.
Wow.
Now, I haven't put all the bells and whistles on it,
Right.
everything yet, which I'll do next week probably. But it's up. You can get it. It's available there. So, yes, I recommend it. And here's why my siren call in Hollywood was so drawing to me. I think Alan Wolf, the Jewish secular humanist, who I've quoted before, negatively.
Yes.
Because he says that Christianity has been tamed, which he's right on that.
It's a wake-up call.
Yeah. He says this, reaching Hollywood, you reach the world.
It's true.
Writing books, you don't reach the world. But a big screen Hollywood movie, you reach the world. And that was the essence of that's why I quit writing books. I thought, man, I can't let this opportunity go by. And to take this book, Beyond the End Times, now the perfect ending for the world, and to take that whole great story and transform that into a big screen Hollywood movie somehow, and bring in the pros to help, and have Ted Baehr, godfathering for me out in Hollywood, something I couldn't pass up. We'll do some more on that in our next video.
Are we done already? Oh my goodness. I got so many questions, but I know you won't answer them, not yet. So time will tell. I know what you're thinking, folks. When's the movie coming out, right? Okay, that was really cool. That was interesting. Completely. I was aware, by the way, I was aware that he'd written a script. We talked about this before, but this is a long time ago, and I've never thought about it again. And isn't it interesting how things happen in God's time, not ours? And, John had just said, I've never written a script before. I didn't even know what one looked. Well, the thing is, until you wrote your first book, you'd never written a book before either. But God blessed you with the ability. And if you've read John's books, John's got a very, very compelling style of talking, and doesn't talk over your head, but he's very informative and enriching, and I love to read. That's why I've read so many of your books. But I'm getting this tonight. I'm going to go home and order it. But anyway, John, thank you for sharing that with us. So where do we go? This was video 115 today. So 116, do we have a series of titles that we're working with, or a subject matter, or are we just kind of hitting? How are we approaching the next few videos?
Exactly that way.
Exactly that way. Exactly what I said. Okay. Well, it's nice to take a break once in a while.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned, and we'll keep you in the loop. And remember, you can tell people you knew John back when he wasn't anybody. One day when you see him on the Dove Awards accepting for best screenplay. Oh well, that was enjoyable. Thank you, John, so much. Thank you, folks, for tuning in. I'm hoping that you enjoyed what you saw today. Come back and see us next week. Please continue to pray for our ministry. We have a lot of people that do get in touch with John and I both privately, either through email or there's various ways, but we have had a lot of wonderful stories and things that people have written to us to let us know that the things they're seeing and hearing are effective. And that's all we ask is that I've mentioned that scripture before about the fact that Paul said, I planted, Apollos watered, but it was God that kept making it grow. So nothing John and I are doing here, and I give John all the credit for the time and the work he's put into his research and everything else. As wonderful as it is, John's not doing anything on his own. He's just following the lead of the Holy Spirit. I believe personally that God is using John in a mighty way. we're hoping that we're planting some seeds. We're hoping that you'll water those seeds, and I'm hoping that God's Spirit will allow them to grow and that this message will go far and wide. So God bless you all, and we'll see you next week. Good night. All right. That was good. Man, that just flew by.